Misinformation is unfortunately common whenever people talk about speedrunning. Myths such as glitches are cheating, TaskBot is a machine learning AI, and speedrun being 2 words instead of 1. However, one particular speedrunning myth stands above the rest in terms of how widespread it is, how widely accepted it is among the casual audience, and how much it continues to annoy speedrunners and taskers alike. Because it probably didn't even happen. The myth that a cosmic ray from outer space caused a spontaneous upwarp that saved time in a Super Mario 64 speedrun. Now, you've probably heard about this incident either from a YouTube video or even a meme posted on social media, but in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, boy do I have the story for you. And if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe if you like speedrunning content. Thank you. 10 years ago, on September 21st, 2013, a 70-star speedrun race between 2 runners, Dota Teabag and Midboss, took place. The race itself wasn't particularly high profile or notable, but 54 minutes into the race, something very strange happened. Dota Teabag was in the middle of collecting red coins in Tick Tock Clock, when suddenly...
What the? Did you get invisible walls?
What? Mario warped straight up, past the grated ceiling above him before falling on top, skipping the climb up the platforms. This anomaly was saved as a highlight on Teabag's Twitch channel, but wouldn't garner much attention quite yet. Nearly 2 years later in 2015, veteran Mario 64 speedrunner Kaiman would stumble upon the Dota Teabag Upwarp clip and was intrigued. Upwarps under different circumstances had already been a well-documented glitch, where if Mario jumps into the very edge of a ceiling while also underneath a higher adjacent hangable ceiling, Mario will snap to the higher hangable ceiling as long as A is still being held. You can even see speedrunners perform this type of upwarp in Bowser in the Fire Sea to save time. But this upwarp was different. There were no hangable ceilings in Tick Tock Clock, and Mario didn't jump into the edge of a ceiling. In fact, he wasn't initiating a jump at all. He was landing from a previous one. Clearly, this was not like any previously known upwarp. Curious for answers behind the anomaly, he sent the clip to Panenkoic 2012, a tasser most well known for the A Button Challenge, a massive tool-assisted project which aims to collect all 120 stars in Mario 64 with as few A presses as possible. Naturally, this caught Panenkoic's attention, as again, Teabag ascended as he was landing from a jump rather than initiating one. This meant that if this new type of upwarp could be replicated and properly understood, it could potentially be a new trick used to save more A presses. However, neither Panenkoic or anyone else had any luck replicating it. Still seeking answers, on August 4th, 2015, Panenkoic made a YouTube video about the mysterious TTC upwarp, offering a $1,000 bounty to anyone who was able to recreate it in the Mupen 64 emulator and send Panenkoic the M64 file, which contains the controller input data that could be played back in Mupen. Not long after Panenkoic published the bounty announcement, people in the YouTube comment section would begin to theorize what may have caused the sudden upwarp. One theory that stood out was that a bit flip occurred in the game's memory that affected Mario's height, which might explain such a drastic warp. Panenkoic would then test this hypothesis in a video uploaded to his secondary channel on August 6. In this video, he tasked Teabag's movement up until the upwarp, where he then tested 2 different scenarios. The first was warping Mario straight to the ceiling, which didn't seem to quite match the original clip. The second scenario instead modified the first byte representing Mario's height from C5 to C4. These are hexadecimal bytes for 197 and 196 respectively, and when this byte is written in binary, you can flip the first bit to change it from 197 to 196. When Panenkoic flipped this bit from 1 to 0, it resulted in an upwarp that was visually similar to the Dota Teabag clip. Although the comparison between the bit flip and the original clip was not a 1-to-1 match visually, This would become the leading hypothesis for the TTC Upwarp for the time being. The question was, if there was a bit flip, what caused it? And could it be replicated? The mysterious circumstances surrounding the Upwarp led YouTube commenters to hypothesize some interesting theories. Like, I don't know, cosmic rays? Yeah, this is where it all came from. The theory goes that when cosmic rays reaches the Earth's atmosphere and they break apart into smaller ionized particles, the radiation of the particle has the capability to flip a bit in a computer's memory, which may result in a glitch known as a single event upset. This theory is out there, to say the least. It's very rare that a bit flip from an ionized particle would affect something like a computer or a Nintendo 64 in a visually observable manner, especially with something like a sudden upwarp that sticks out like a sore thumb. There have been single event upsets in history where the cosmic ray theory is plausible given the circumstances. But in the case of the TTC Upwarp, it's a bit of a leap in logic to assume that over a potential answer found in-game or even a hardware malfunction. Panenkoic himself noted how outlandish he found the theory. Regardless, no one was able to recreate the exact Upwarp. Even as the $1,000 bounty garnered more outside attention, the cause behind it remained a mystery. Years passed with no leads on the TTC Upwarp. Solving this mystery was put on the back burner as Tassers and the ABC crew focused on other projects. Cosmic rays remained a mere hypothesis, and an unlikely one at that. No SM64 expert 100% bought into that theory, and on February 21st, 2018, Dota Teabag left a comment on Panen's bitflip comparison video that made cosmic rays seem all the more doubtful. For what it's worth, I often had to tilt my cartridge weird ways in order to get the game to start. It seemed that I had it all the way pressed down sometimes, it wouldn't start, but if I pulled up on one side ever so slightly, it would start just fine. So, if you think that's a possible factor, it's worth considering that fact. Yeah, I believe it is worth strongly considering a faulty cartridge and console as a potential cause. And that's what SM64 Tasser Danebo did. Soon after, Dane bought Dota Teabag's Nintendo 64 and Mario 64 cartridge. The next month, he performed some hardware tests and messed around with it. It was in a somewhat faulty condition, but after running a few tests on the N64, nothing notable popped up and he was unable to recreate the Upwarp. A cartridge tilt would often lead to messed up animations, audio, and game crashes.
Here I use a setup where...
Dirty or loose pin connections between the cartridge and the console are a more likely culprit though, as somewhat recent anomalies were likely caused by such a faulty connection or cart slap, which may lead to some sudden shifts in code. Here's some examples. On August 1st, 2018, a video from a Japanese runner, Atogami, was posted on YouTube by another Japanese runner, Aki. We can see that 17 minutes deep into a 70-star speedrun, Atogami falls off the Cool Mountain slide during the penguin race. Upset, he hits his console in frustration. Upon regaining his composure, he jumps back into the painting. Except it didn't take him back to Cool Mountain, but instead, Big Boo's haunt. I bet you've never seen that happen before. I'd say this is a very strong example of a cart slap. Another anomaly happened much more recently on January 21st, 2024. At the start of a 16-star attempt, speedrunner Xandri experienced a very glitchy sky effect out of the blue. Like, literally, where's the blue sky? This persisted until he entered the castle. The character animations and audio were fine, and the glitchy sky effect did not happen in the other levels. When Xandri lost the run, he went back outside the castle to see if the sky was still messed up. It was back to normal. How strange. Xandri would also go on record to say that his N64 was particularly sensitive and susceptible to loose cart connections and even cart tilts. It's worth noting that cartridge tilts themselves are not known to replicate upwarps or flipped bits, but it's more plausible that a cart slap, bad pin connections, or even some other memory error was responsible for the Tick Tock Clock upwarp. More likely than cosmic rays, it's entirely possible that no bits were flipped at all, because neither cart tilts nor slaps flip bits. Again, without knowing the exact displacement of Mario's height in the Dota teabag clip, we have no confirmation that a bit flip even happened at all. Especially when you consider the condition of Teabag's cart in N64, the proof of concept video not matching exactly, and the opinion of experts of Mario 64 and the N64 hardware. But let's humor that possibility for a second. What if a bit actually did flip in memory to cause the upwarp? Surely then it has to be a cosmic ray, right? Well, not really. In fact, another phenomenon occurred in Tick Tock Clock again. In May 2020, speedrunner Dupdome was practicing Tick Tock Clock, specifically the 100 coin star, when suddenly, one of the moving bars from above teleported downwards from where it's supposed to be. Not only that, but throughout the VOD, even during an actual speedrun attempt, there would be some reoccurring graphical glitches with Mario's shadow in Tick Tock Clock. After Dupdome uploaded the clip and stream VOD to YouTube, SM64 expert Quate began to investigate, and wrote up a Google Doc trying to make sense of everything. The SM64 tasking community investigated Dupdome's footage, and managed to recreate the moving bar warp by flipping one specific bit. They even did the same for one of the weird one-frame extended shadow glitches, showing that bit flips were a likely cause for some of the weird glitches on Dupdome's N64. But don't get it twisted. This does not mean that it was a single event upset caused by cosmic rays, especially if multiple bits may have been flipping. In fact, this was not the only recorded time Dupdome saw that same moving bar downwarp for no apparent reason. It happened again. Clearly, this had to be a deeper hardware error of some kind causing these reoccurring glitches. Taking into account that Dupdome's N64 appeared to have frequent bit flip errors, including 2 separate instances of the moving bar downwarping, there is significantly more evidence pointing towards a malfunctioning memory cache to have caused all those glitches. That or some other hardware-related error is far more likely of a theory than cosmic rays.
Hi there, the editor here. If we were to still humor the bit flip theory, there is a possibility that it could be some other type of interference. For instance, electromagnetic interference. Something as common as a power surge may potentially be to blame for the causes of bit flips. And if you listen to Teabag's surroundings during the race, there is a lot of construction going on.
What the?
If it was that, perhaps someone could do something to recreate it. Though I will admit, even when trying to use a high-powered food processor next to the N64 to get something to happen, nothing did.
There have even been recent mysterious downwarps that were probably not caused by a bit flip. On December 8th, 2022, Peruvian speedrunner Ian_1243 experienced a strange downwarp in Bowser in the Fire Sea during a run. This downwarp was not caused by any currently documented methods, and is still considered an unsolved mystery. But we know for a fact that it wasn't a bit flip, because the vertical displacement is estimated to have been around 900 units. Bits in memory represent exponential powers of 2. When a bit is flipped, it adds or subtracts a value representing a clean power of 2 to a byte in memory. The closest power of 2 to 900 is 1024. But according to the experts, Mario doesn't seem to be displaced by that much from the sudden downwarp, making a bit flip highly unlikely. So, if SM64 experts were able to come up with more realistic theories for the TTC upwarp based on Dota teabag's faulty hardware, other similar anomalies, and their own understanding of the game and the N64 architecture, why did the cosmic ray theory suddenly spread across the internet as if it actually happened? The answer is bad gaming journalism. On September 16th, 2020, an article covering Dota Teabag's Tick Tock Clock Upwarp titled "How an Ionizing Particle from Outer Space Helped a Mario Speedrunner Save Time" was published on The Gamer. Based on The Gamer's previous video coverage of speedruns, you know you're in for a real treat.
A gamer with a tag of Funilla SM64 dives, jumps, and bursts through multiple levels as he makes seemingly impossible jumps. Objection!
That's why we've compiled a list of 10 video game speedruns that will never be beaten.
Anyways, the article gives a recap of the Upwarp, what makes it different from a normal Upwarp, and the $1,000 bounty from Panenkoic 12, and then makes the bold claim that the Upwarp was certainly caused by an ionizing particle, citing Panenkoic 12 and his comparison video, claiming it was 100% confirmed that it was a bit flip. The author states it with so much confidence that it is 100% confirmed that they ignored the part in the video description where it states that the glitch is not solved and the idea of a cosmic ray is a bit far-fetched. And thus began a classic game of telephone. On February 7th, 2021, a tweet containing an excerpt from the Gamer article went viral, getting 32,000 likes and over 5,000 retweets, bringing a lot of attention to not only the TTC Upwarp once again, but now the cosmic ray theory as well. This unlikely theory began to spread across the internet as if it was a proven fact, much to the chagrin of many members of the speedrun community, who had more context than the general public did. Later that week, news articles from various gaming and pop culture publications began to post articles about the TTC Upwarp caused by cosmic rays theory, many of them regurgitating info from the Gamer article, typos included. This topic became even more widespread on August 31st, 2021, when the popular educational YouTube channel Veritasium published "The Universe is Hostile to Computers," a video that discusses cosmic rays and how ionized particles from said cosmic rays can affect computers by flipping bits. It has 20 million views. For the most part, it is a very well-made and well-researched video, citing various academic journals, anecdotes of real-world events, and The Gamer. Uh-oh. Yeah, there's a short minute-and-a-half segment about the Tick Tock Clock Upwarp, using the Gamer article and Panenkoic 12's proof of concept video as an example of a bit flip definitely happening thanks to a cosmic ray. As you could imagine, with it being featured in such a popular video, it spread around the internet like a wildfire again. More news articles covering the TTC Upwarp were then published, including one from PC Gamer that erroneously claims that Panenkoic came out with proof 6 years after he put out the bounty that it was caused by cosmic rays. Every so often, you'll see the occasional cosmic rays affecting my Mario 64 speedrun meme either on Twitter, Reddit, iFunny, you name it. People see these memes and then find out about the Tick Tock Clock Upwarp and assume that it was just caused by a random cosmic ray, unaware that it just isn't true. The mystery was never solved, yet it is being touted as such. To this day, members of the Mario 64 community are annoyed by the memes and misinformation whenever the topic goes viral yet again. All the while, oblivious internet users keep unknowingly spreading around the biggest myth in speedrunning history. Shoutouts to the Super Mario 64 tasking community for their incredible documentation over the years, as well as Wikipedia for being such an incredible wiki for Mario 64 speedrunning, mechanics, glitches, etc. Thanks to the pages related to the history of the TTC Upwarp and unsolved glitches, I was able to hopefully create a comprehensive video about this hot topic. Shoutouts to Stick for info on Otogami's cart slap and cart slaps in general. Special shoutouts to the Glitch Doctor for assisting with research and editing this video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to shoot for the moon.